think this has the ability to be a moment where we look back and we think we did something good that day.
This morning on Wake Up NonStop Local, unanimous decision. Spokane City Council passing an emergency ordinance on public camping. Why council members passed that ordinance across party lines.
Plus, bracing for impact, Hurricane Mellissa en route to Jamaica, a Category 5 hurricane. Video from inside the eye of the storm as the island gets ready for Mellissa to make landfall.
Plus, a first look at your weather forecast. It is a downright chilly start here as you head out the door, plus some areas of fog and getting you out on the morning commute ahead.
And long game, long ball. This walk-off home run ending the longest game in World Series history.
The wild finish everyone's talking about this morning, coming up on Wake Up NonStop Local.
Wake up, you gotta rise to the sun, and here it comes, it's time to make the best of what you got to give. It's all about rising, and I wanna be there.
How will you feel tomorrow? I want to go to sleep as soon as possible so I can get ready.
That's the interpreter for Shohei Ohtani. The team, the interpreter, and all the fans tired this morning after that marathon 18-inning win last night in LA for Game 3 of the World Series. That win ties the record for the most innings played in a World Series game. Thanks for joining us. I'm Kalai Chalk.
I'm Sam Adams. Everyone's going to be talking about that walk-off home run you just saw hit by Freddie Freeman. You also heard from Shohei Ohtani's interpreter because Shohei reached base a record 9 times last night, and he hit 2 home runs. By the way, Game 4 of the World Series will have a tough act to follow. That is tonight. As that series now 2-1, the Blue Jays need a win to even that series at 2 games apiece.
Okay, so we're preparing for it. Maybe that means a nap. Maybe it means a nap during your lunch break if you have to go to work. But I'm calling it perfect nap weather today.
Yeah, I think it's time for a 7th inning stretch with our own Jenny Power. How's that forecast looking today, Jenny?
Yeah, good morning, Sam Kalai. I mean, it is the morning, but we're already thinking of that afternoon nap, and that's just what happens this time of year here when it is a little bit cold out there as well as a little bit foggy and gloomy. So, hey, that's my permission to you, as if you even needed it. But this is what we're waking up to this morning if you've got to head out the door in the next couple of minutes. A little bit of patchy fog, especially through the Kendall Yards area, and downright freezing start time temperatures. Upper 20s to low 30s for Spokane, Coeur d'Alene, Pullman, and Chewelah. We're at 27 degrees for Colville, 31 for Kettle Falls, 28 degrees for Omak, 33 for Leavenworth, 31 for the Tri-Cities, and currently sitting at about 28 for the folks in Deer Park. So yes, it is very, very cold as we're waking up, and we've been seeing some areas of reduced visibility, primarily up toward northeast Washington and into the North Idaho Panhandle. And with freezing temperatures, just know that if you run into a little bit of fog, roadway could potentially be a bit slick. So slow things down, drive for conditions. As we take a look at the power planner, we'll reach the low 50s this afternoon and see a good amount of clouds, but we are sitting drier in comparison to what we'll be waking up to tomorrow. The timing of our next system to bring us valley rain and mountain snow in 10 minutes. Sam Clyde.
Okay, Jenny, thanks. Well, the Spokane City Council has unanimously passed the Safe and Accessible Spaces Ordinance. All 7 members of the council voted in favor of it last night. It's the latest effort to curb public camping.
And the City Council President Betsy Wilkerson calling this bipartisan support historic. And by passing this, she says that they are now prioritizing the needs of the entire community. Now that the ordinance has been passed, the Spokane Police Department can start issuing citations, make arrests, or refer people to services. And it clears up any potential ambiguity on whether or not people could be cited before accepting services.
And now it's up to the police to decide. The legislation also imposes stiffer penalties for repeat offenders. During public comment, business owners and people who were previously homeless praised the ordinance.
I want to commend this body for working together and working with community leaders, community organizations to come up with an ordinance that can make a difference in our community.
I am a firm believer that people do not change until the pain of staying the same becomes greater than the fear of change. And right now, as a city, I believe we have removed pain but offered no true path towards growth.
Well, since it's an emergency ordinance, that means that it is already in effect this morning. Washington State Commissioner of Public Lands Dave Upthegrove is giving an assessment of the 2025 wildfire season. He says it was a typical fire season with about 1,800 starts. He also thanked DNR firefighters for keeping more than 90% of the fires on DNR land under 10 acres.
The commissioner also warned about the potential impact for the state budget cuts for wildfire response efforts.
This last year, due to tough budget times, the funding we have for wildfire prevention response was cut in half. And if that funding isn't restored, we're going to see more fires, bigger fires, and more cost to taxpayers, more risk to property, to life, more damage to our environment.
The Grove also says that wildfire danger in Washington is growing statewide, not just here in eastern Washington and central Washington. He says 40% of this year's wildfires, in fact, were on the west side of the state. Now to a big story we continue to follow right now. You're looking at the eye of the storm. This is from inside Hurricane Mellissa. Jamaica now bracing for the biggest hurricane on record to hit the island.
And in the last 30 minutes, the National Hurricane Center announced that winds are now sustained at 180 miles an hour. Mandatory evacuation orders have been issued for coastline areas, and massive flooding is expected. With that, let's get back to the Weather Center with Jenny, who's tracking it all.
Yeah, Sam Kalai, Hurricane Mellissa has quickly now become a Category 5 hurricane and experiencing extremely rapid growth. Now you can see here Mellissa is turning south of Jamaica, but it is expected to make landfall today, and according to the National Hurricane Center, bring widespread flooding with it. Later in the week, it is forecasted to depress as it heads northeast. Meanwhile, the Jamaican Prime Minister is worried about the storm's path and what it could do to the western side of the island.
I don't believe there's any infrastructure within this region that could withstand a Category 5 storm. So there could be significant dislocation.
Now, just to give you an idea of what it looks like in Jamaica right now, we're watching our live cameras, which are showing lots of rain and wind. The National Hurricane Center also saying that there could be landslides caused by 40+ inches of rain. So something we'll continue to monitor. Sam,
yeah, and you just know that infrastructure there in Jamaica is not going to withstand what's coming through.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Now to the latest on the case against the alleged Charlie Kirk assassin, who will be required to wear restraints while in the courtroom.
That decision being made by the judge in this case, despite a request from the defense to keep Tyler Robinson unrestrained while appearing in court. The judge, though, did, however, grant the other part of her request to allow Robinson to wear civilian clothing instead of his jail jumpsuit.
The judge says he approved the clothing because jail clothing could influence future jury selection. Robinson has been ordered to appear in court January 16th and 30th for his first in-person appearances. Seattle-based e-commerce giant Amazon has confirmed it's planning to lay off 14,000 corporate positions, saying it hired too many people during the pandemic. The people laid off will represent about 5% of the corporate workforce, but there's some 1.5 million workers with Amazon overall.
Now, in the announcement being made by Amazon, they cited AI, saying that they need to be organized more leanly because of the transformative nature of artificial intelligence. These cuts coming as other tech companies and retail firms are also making their own layoffs. Target just last week announcing it's cutting 1,000 corporate jobs, and Microsoft began eliminating 9,000 of their jobs in July. New numbers coming in from the Department of Homeland Security showing the number of illegal immigrants being removed from the U.S. since President Trump took office. The department now says 1.6 million people have self-deported and that ICE has arrested and deported more than 500,000 more.
The report says that 70% of people that ICE arrested had been charged or convicted of a crime while living in the U.S. There's currently an offer right now for $1,000 and a plane ticket to immigrants who voluntarily self-deport. The department says people who self-deport will have a chance to return, but those who are arrested won't. A prison release date for record producer Sean Diddy Combs has been set. According to the Federal Bureau of Prisons, Combs is expected to be released May 8th, 2028. A jury convicted Combs on 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution.
Combs was sentenced to just over 4 years, but the jury acquitted him of more serious sex trafficking and racketeering charges, which could have carried a life sentence. His release date now reflects time already served, with about a year behind bars since his arrest in September of last year. Hollywood actor and producer Billy Baldwin will be in Spokane today talking about the launch of his new documentary on fentanyl.
In an earlier documentary, he also shows the realities of homelessness, which also featured Spokane. Fentanyl, Death Incorporated, showcases the drug in the Pacific Northwest and its impact on our area.
We've been to China to capture the reality of what's going on, how the precursors come into the cartels in Mexico and come into the biker gangs in Canada, and how this stuff is getting across the border. But Spokane was a big component. Spokane was a community that we were in doing both Americans with No Address and Fentanyl Death Incorporated, and it's been hit like Sacramento. It's one of those communities that is slowly recovering from the ashes of COVID and the scourge of fentanyl.
The documentary is tonight at 5:30. After the screening, Baldwin and the producers will answer your questions in a panel discussion.
All right, 6:40 this morning. Now to a preview of our Where We Come From series. Tonight, Kalai Chalk is highlighting the story of a WSU football legend known simply as the Throwin' Samoan. And Kalai, I know a lot of people out there know the name Jack Thompson, but they don't know where he came from.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so if you're a Kook fan, you probably know that Jack Thompson played football in Pullman in the 70s. You might have seen his drives on the field, but his drive in the classroom was fueled by his father, an immigrant from American Samoa.
I can remember him saying, I didn't come here for you to play sports. I came here for you to get an education. And it seems like you're not taking it seriously. I came home, I think, with 5 B's and 1 A. That wasn't going to fly. So he held me out of sports for a year to make sure that he drove that point home.
Jack was still highly recruited out of high school and broke records on the field at WSU. And when he entered the NFL, his dad still pushed him to take classes.
He just told me, that won't count. A general studies degree will not count. Get that business degree or, then you can talk to me.
Most people who are in the NFL aren't thinking about finishing their college degree.
I had no choice. My dad was not going to, he's like a dog on a bone, a pit bull on a bone. And you never want to mess with my dad.
All right, you don't want to mess with Jack Thompson's dad, Jack G. Thompson. That's him right there. That's just a preview of the full story that we have coming up tonight in our 6 o'clock hour of Where We Come From with that series. And so just a little sneak peek, Sam.
And I love it because so many of us know him as the guy who says Cougs by 50.
Yes.
And there's such a huge story behind the scenes with the family legacy.
Oh my gosh, most of the stories that he told me was about his work in the classroom and what the professors in Pullman did beyond what he was doing on the football field.
Clearly class first, football second.
Yep, tonight at 6 o'clock you can watch the whole story.
All right, looking forward to it. Thanks, Kalai. All right, with that, much more to come this morning here on the Wake Up Show, including winter driving in Idaho. The free winter weather driving class is being offered by Idaho State Police. We'll have a live report with how you can get signed up ahead.
Plus, an extended look at your weather forecast, what you can expect on a Tuesday, as today we're pretty mild, but then I'm tracking big changes by tomorrow morning.